welcome everyone to my session about how to ensure the feeling of togetherness when we are working remotely. And please feel free to use the chat. So if you have any comments, any questions, just write those in the chat and I will try to keep up with those discussions, at least in the end of the presentation. Before we go into the actual topic, I will just say a couple of things about myself. So I'm Karoliina Kettukari. I'm from Finland, and at the moment here in Helsinki, it's like 20 degrees Celsius, which is summer in Finland, and very sunny. I'm super happy that it's so warm outside, and also super happy to be here in the Teams Nation today. And I do everything around Teams, user adoption, change management, and I'm working as a modern work leader and advisor at a Finnish company called Meltlake, which is a daughter company to a Finnish company called Futurize. And I'm also very active in the community. I co-host and co-organize 3 user groups, which are Teams Community Finland, ACM, so Adoption and Change Management Teams Europe, and then we have this more relaxed happy hour etiquette session. And actually, today we had a ACM Teams Europe session here in the Teams Nation, and after my session, we also have a user group about the Teams Community Finland, which is only in Finnish. So of course, anyone can join, but if you don't understand Finnish, it will sound pretty cryptic to you. But if you want to know more about me, you can go and check out my website or follow me in LinkedIn or in Twitter. And yeah, I think that's it about me. Let's go to read some numbers. Because we all know that remote work, as we know it, we have been doing it about over a year now. It has some challenges. And what's a great thing about it is that we have had some pretty cool studies about how the remote working has affected on employees, on managers, and what people are thinking about it. So I have 3 different studies in here, and I have taken a couple of numbers from those studies. I have huge amount of links for you in this presentation, and I will share the presentation and the links afterwards, so you can always go and check those out later on. But basically, 60% of the people, so that's 2 in every 3 people, say that they don't really feel the togetherness when they are working remotely. So they don't feel belonging to their team as much as they felt 2019 when we were more working on the same online on the same premises. Also, almost 40% of the managers think that it's harder to maintain the team spirit, team engagement, and team connection. So remote leadership has also turned out to be quite challenging. And what's also pretty concerning is that 1 in every 3 managers think that their teams are being innovative. So that means that 2 out of 3 managers think that their teams are not able to be innovative, are not able to invent new things when they are working remotely. And that number has gone down about 10% since 2019. So that's a pretty significant drop. So there are challenges, but we also know, we maybe know it by ourselves, but also studies say that remote work is here to stay. And 73% of the employees will want to continue working remotely, at least part-time. So maybe 2 times per week at the office and 3 times per week at home, or vice versa. And when I did the study to 2020, so a year ago, the number was 70%. So it has actually come up by 3% in 1 year. And what this all means is that we have these challenges, but the situation is going to last. And in the future, we not only have the remote work challenges, but we also have these hybrid work challenges where some of the people are working on the offices and some are remotely. And how can we ensure that the hybrid working environment is going smoothly? So the solution, or some solutions, can be found, of course, in Teams. And now for the next about 35, 35 minutes, I will show you demos. So Microsoft Teams has so many solutions, so many applications, and just a small things you can utilize to improve your employee experience and the feeling of togetherness right now, right here in Microsoft Teams. And I will go through some of those demos. A couple of demos are not available yet at the moment, so I will show a picture of those. But I want you to maybe pick one or two, or maybe three, but maybe one or two things that you find that could suit for your own team. And you can start utilizing, testing those out already today. Cool. Let's jump to my demo Teams, which is in here. Okay, and when I'm watching in this direction, I'm watching my other screen where my Teams is. So I'm like watching all over the place. So welcome to my internet in Teams. And this actually has been one of my favorite topics for about 2 years already. So you can imagine how happy I was when Microsoft announced the Viva and Viva Connections, where you actually can now implement your Sharepoint Internet as an application inside your Teams environment. But before we go deeper into Viva Connections, just a couple of words about organization-wide teams. So we know we have Yammer communities. Those have been around for years and years. And I don't know, because for some reason, many companies have stopped using Yammer, or they don't find any use for Yammer anymore. But Yammer still has its place. It's still a very relevant tool in organization-wide communication in large companies. If you are a smaller company, you can make everything inside Teams. And organization-wide team, you can have at the moment up to 10,000 people in one team in Teams. In one normal team, you can have up to 20,000 people. So if you think about just the numbers, you could have a 20,000 people company and fit every employee into one team. But yes, of course, I don't think that's a really practical use case for team and teams. But for a smaller company, like under 1,000 employees, maybe under 2,000 employees, you really can utilize the organization-wide team in Teams. So basically, you can create at the moment 5 organization-wide teams, and it automatically adds every normal employee into your team. So you can exclude those admin accounts, external people, etc. And what it means, it brings the communication closer to employees. You don't have to go to some separate place or separate solution, but you can find all of those open discussions already where you are at the moment inside your teams. You could create channels in your team, organization-wide team, in the similar way as you create sections in your SharePoint internet. But you can also utilize different aspects that Microsoft Teams has to offer. For example, creating this Say Hello channel where new employees can introduce themselves. Or you can have this Well Done channel where you can give kudos and praise to every employee. We go and check this Well Done channel out a bit later on. But let's go shortly into Vivo Connections. I know Chirag Patel had an excellent session about Vivo Connections in the morning. So if you want to know more in depth about that, so you can go check out the recording after they are available. But just shortly, Vivo Connections, technically at the moment, yeah, it may seem that it's only a Sharepoint button in your Teams. Yeah, yes, well, technically you can click the home button and here you are in your Sharepoint inside your team. But what's cool about Vivo Connections is that it really brings all the content even the more inside one place. So even if you, no matter where you are working, if you have mobile phone, if you are the desktop computer, you can access internet via Teams application. And in the future, it will also offer more things that are not yet available. For example, you can have targeted content. Here are some system alerts. Here are events, Yammer feed, and all of these are built with out-of-the-box functionalities from Sharepoint. And when we are talking about the actual topic of my session, so the feeling of belonging, feeling of togetherness, is that when you make organizational content, organization-wide news as easy to find as possible, that helps the feeling of belonging. For example, I think it's a bit old-fashioned way when we are thinking about renewing our internet and we start the internet project by opening browser, going to Sharepoint and start planning our internet in Sharepoint in the browser. We should think about more the end users and the end user use cases. Maybe they are on the go with their mobile phones. They have Teams in their mobile phones. So how can we target or customize relevant news, relevant information for every single employee, depending on their roles, depending on their location? And that's even more easier and possible to do in the future with Microsoft Vivo Connections. So if this is something that interests you, go check out the Chirag's session, or you can, if you are an IT admin, you can go and load an application for every employee in your company already. You just need more than Sharepoint and home site. Actually, home site isn't a must, but it's recommended to have a Sharepoint home site if you are using Vivo Connections. A last thing I want to show you about this is when you click on the home site, you will actually see your global navigation and Sharepoint app bar. This should be available already in all tenants. It has been rolled out, but it can be that it isn't yet available in every single place. But basically, this one will also be one of the aspects which is visible in the mobile application or mobile part of Vivo Connections in Teams. And basically, this will give you shortcuts to important links, important applications, my sites, my news. And I think this will be something that's ever more important part of internal communications in the future. Okay, so first demo around here was to bring everyone in your organization at the same level with bringing your internet and your news inside Teams with Vivo Connections. But how can you then stay connected? And there's another Vivo application for that one. And of course, you maybe know Insights, which was previously My Analytics, or Insights has some components of My Analytics. And Vivo Insights are insights and analytics for employees and managers about well-being at work. And some parts of Vivo Insights are already available in your tenants. As you can see, I don't have those. So I actually have to show you a picture from my PowerPoint presentation. And let's see here. So basically, Vivo Insights will give you some super cool application in your left-hand rail navigation. And I think the thing about this is that you should have some use cases for these. It doesn't help at all if you just have this super nice how are you feeling post every day, but no one does anything about it. So you really have to think about how your team or how your organization is going to utilize all this data and what are you going to do about it. So I think this will be a super convenient tool and help device to empower your employees to create the sense of well-being at work. But you really need to think about how are you going to implement this in the future. And if this is something that interests you, I know my moderator, Alan Erdley, had a session about this today, actually. So if you are more interested in Vivo Insights, you should go and check his session out when the recording is available. Okay, let's jump back to the demo teams. So if Vivo Insights gives you the possibility to stay connected with your coworkers, with your employees. So how about those people you haven't actually met yet? So we have been working remotely for over a year now. And I think in most of the organizations, we have new employees who have been hired during last year, and you maybe have never seen those employees live. You may have only seen them between video calls, or I know some organizations still doesn't like to have videos on. I don't know why. But how can you stay connected with people you don't even know? And there is an application for that. It's called Icebreaker. And what it does, it actually is a chatbot application which creates matches for you. You can set it out in your admin center. It has some steps. It's not, for example, I'm not technical enough, so I could install this one, but I will give you the link. The link is in my presentation as well, so your admins, IT admins can go and check this out. Icebreaker is something I know also Microsoft uses. For example, Microsoft Finland implemented that in their environment, and I've seen LinkedIn posts about this one as well. But basically, what it does, it sends you postcards or cards in your chat, and based on some criteria. So, for example, you have to be in the same country, or you have to be in different countries or in different departments. It will actually send you cards, and you can customize the card, you can customize the text, and you can, for example, propose a remote lunch with someone, or you can, for example, propose a 15-minute coffee break with someone. And this is super easy, super nice way to just like propose meetup. And then Petri here has sent me a card. Hi, sir, Karoliina. Icebreaker chose you to be my match. And it really gives you a very simple and very easy way to meet new people inside your organization, especially if you are a large organization and you usually just communicate with your close team. And I can see that, yeah, I'll send the link to the chat, so thank you. You can go and check that out. Check that out so you can also think about how can you install it in your own environment. Okay, so next application actually is that when I've done internet projects, and I've done like, I don't know, dozens of internet projects in my life. So one thing customer nearly always ask is that how can we be innovative with our employees? And that's why I was also so worried about study results, which I showed you in the first place, so that only 1/3 manager feels that they can be innovative when they are working remotely. But yes, there is an application for that as well. So this is called Employee Ideas, and this is also a Microsoft application. So you can go and install it in your environment just by searching it from behind the three dots. So three dots, and you search for ideas, and yes, here it is. And I think the great thing about this is that when we have built this kind of ideas and innovation apps before, it has taken like tens of maybe 20, 30 working days. It's pretty costly to do these kind of applications. But now this is all ready-made from Microsoft. Of course, it has some limitations, but if you want to test it out, if you want to try it, it's an awesome place to start. What's cool about it? It's directly inside your teams. So you don't have to go to any other website. You don't have to go to any other application to see those campaigns and ideas. And basically what you can do, if you are an admin, you can create a campaign and all the other employees can then participate in your campaign by posting ideas, by voting your ideas. And then when the campaign is over, you can see that how many ideas have you gotten, which was voted for the best idea, etc. And you can have this employee ideas application in your teams as well. So not only here for the whole organization in the left-hand rail navigation, but if you go to some team, for example, we could have our modern work forum team, and we want to gather ideas. How can we improve our user adoption, our team's usage in the future? I could just set the employee ideas application here inside my team as well. So just go to the plus sign to add a tab in your team, and here you can add the ideas application. If you are not familiar with the ready-made apps in your teams, in Teams, this is a great place to start because it's so easy. It's pretty visual. It's pretty nice looking, and it doesn't have the Microsoft corporate feeling to it. It's really usable for small and larger companies as well. Okay, next tip is having meetings. So as we maybe know, remote work, when we're working remotely, many of us have much more meetings than we used to have, because you don't have to use your time to commuting. You can have like back-to-back meetings the whole day at your home, and of course we all know that's not maybe pretty wise. And it's actually pretty hard to think about a year ago. For example, we didn't even have these backgrounds in Teams meetings. So the meeting capabilities alone in Teams have exploded during the last year. There has been like, I don't know, maybe tens of different new things in Teams meetings alone during this last year. But I have some pro tips for Teams meetings regarding about how to make how to get the team spirit up and how to ensure the better feeling of togetherness, even in remote meetings. And actually, one of my favorite tips that usually people don't use at the moment is having channel meetings. And channel meetings means that you have a team and you have a channel. And here in the channel, where you have the meet button in here, you go and click schedule a meeting. And what it does, it actually has the totally normal meeting schedule page. But you can see here in the channel side, you already have your monthly meetings and infos channel mentioned. And this means that when you are sorry, here in your channel, you can see the channel meeting inviting here. The discussable thing is that it doesn't automatically send meeting invites to people. So if you want to send meeting invite from a channel meeting, you actually have to add those people here in the attendees field, or you have to train your people to go to the channel meeting open the meeting, and then add the meeting here from their own calendars. But what I like about channel meetings is that it stays in the context. And when we have so many teams, so many channels, so many meetings per day, it's maybe sometimes hard to find when was the meeting where they shared this one document, or where was the meeting where we discussed about a certain topic. And channel meetings you can always find in your channel. For example, if we have a meetings, for example, monthly meetings about marketing, I could create those meetings as channel meetings in here. And then even if some of our marketing team isn't available at the meeting, they can come to this channel afterwards and they see all the discussion, they see all the documents directly here in the channel. So they don't have to even open the meeting. They can just go and look at the channel and see these channel meetings right here. I don't know, it's not Friday today, but hey, here in Finland, tomorrow is a holiday, and I'm also at holiday on Friday, so basically for me, it's Friday today. Cool. So channel meeting, you can use it not only for official meetings, like those monthly, weekly meetings, but also for virtual coffee breaks, virtual afterworks. And I've heard good things about those, and I've also heard things that they don't work. I think it's mostly about your organizational culture. So do people want to have that kind of informal conversation? And it's also, I think, about how often do you have those? For example, in my company, we have this virtual after work coffee break meeting once in a week, every Friday. And for example, last Friday, I think we had all of our employees in the meeting. So it was super nice to see all of the people at least once a week with their video on in the same place. And I think one thing that's interesting is that how are these virtual things going to last after we go to the hybrid mode? So after some of us are going back to the office, but of course not everyone. So are we going to have lunch breaks where part of the people are live in the office and then some people are remotely via Teams? I think that remains to be seen. Cool. Just a couple of words about those new cool meeting features in Teams, because I think those are super important when we think about how can we really be inclusive in our meetings. And actually, I have a couple of slides of those, because those are not yet available in Teams. So yeah, together mode, that's available, of course. And a couple of months ago, we also got some new cool background scenes in together mode. And that's not something new, but I think together mode is also some kind of like hidden gem in Microsoft Teams. Not everyone uses it. And when you use it for the first time, it may seem a bit, I don't know, silly. People are a bit different sizes, they have different lighting. And when you, for example, wave, your hand can appear pretty large compared to your head. But When we have tested this in our, for example, community calls, user groups, and also in our company meetings and in our customer meetings, it's surprisingly nice because it really gives the sense of being in the same room together. It might be a bit silly, but if you haven't tested it out, you can, for example, have your next monthly meeting, weekly meeting, just have the video on, choose the best kind of background, and have the conversation in together mode. And it's not only about my feelings, it's also been studied that when people have been watching meetings in together mode and in the grid view, so where you have all those small squares with people videos on them, so your brains actually are working harder when you are watching the grids, because you have to switch the context every time. You see different backgrounds every time. And when you watch together mode, your brains are more relaxed and you can focus better on the content of the meeting. So if not anything else, you maybe want to try out together mode for your brains. Cool. So yeah, together mode, one super cool thing you can try, which really gives the sense of feeling and a sense of togetherness. But also one of my favorite things in meetings, and I think also one very popular request in user voice, have been different presentation modes in Teams meetings. And I think those have been, those are rolling out pretty soon, I think, as well as the Teams webinar thing is also soon rolling out. But you can soon have, for example, gallery on top. It should be available to you at the moment, so you can actually look into people's eyes. At the moment, when you have your presentation here at the top, and then the small gallery here down below, you tend to watch people down here. But when you have people on the top, you can actually watch closer to the camera, and then you can pretend you're watching people in the eye. So super small detail. It may not sound pretty much, but I had the gallery on top feature in my tenant. I think it came this week, and I think it's really made a difference for how we interact in meetings, because I'm more able to focus on the videos and more able to focus on people's faces than like watching down the screen all the time. Cool. Then one small thing, one last thing about Teams meetings is meeting reactions and of course polls. But meeting reactions have been rolled out already, so they should be available for every tenant. And basically, when you have the live meeting, or when I, for example, should have a presentation live, if this conference would be in live situation, I could see your faces. I could see when you smile. I can see if you like all are going to water on the wall. So maybe then I know I'm super boring. Or if I say something really great, I know you're all clapping. But in online meetings, it's impossible to see the whole crowd. Yes, we can use together mode, we can use the grid view, but basically it's not the same feeling being in front of the audience. And meeting reactions is one way to create the team spirit in virtual reality or in virtual meeting. For example, you can give hearts if someone has said something super nice, or laugh if someone said some super cool joke. So that's also something I really encourage you to test out. Super easy, super simple. Just make it a habit, as maybe comes to all of these things. So it doesn't really matter whether those technical things are available. You should always make a habit to use those. And of course, if all of this isn't enough, you can of course go to virtual reality. So I don't know if you have watched Ignite. So there they introduced this new Microsoft Mesh, and basically it's a 3D virtual reality which you can of course utilize in building cars or spaceships, as here in the Microsoft site. But you can also, for example, have 3D virtual reality meetings. And for example, Teams Nation today, we have this Altspace VR after party after those sessions, and it doesn't require any like HoloLens or Oculus. You can also participate it with your computer. So if you're interested in virtual reality meetings, you should, I think, come to the after party and check that one out. But when I opened this page a couple of hours ago, I saw this slogan for Microsoft Mesh, which is "Here can be anywhere," and I really like it, because "Here can be anywhere" also supports very much about the hybrid work environment, and it shouldn't matter whether you are at the office or whether you are working from home or at the opposite ends of the world, because you should be able to work efficiently together in teams. Cool. Just a couple of more demos I have for you. Let's switch to Teams again. So I mentioned in the beginning how you can utilize this well-done channel in your whole organization team. Of course, it can also be done in your own team for your team or project. But especially I think that when we are in this remote working mode, a well-done channel for the whole organization is a super nice thing to do. Because at the office, it's so simple, it's so easy to tell your coworker that, hey, you did a great job. Good job with the project. But when we are remotely, you have to write things down. And yeah, it's a bit more difficult. But Teams has an application for that. Who would have known? So basically, you can be anywhere in your Teams conversation. And here is this small, let's make it a bit bigger. Here is a small praise button, which looks like a medal, maybe. And when you click on the praise button, you can choose your own cool badges. And you have like ready-made badges from Microsoft, for example, awesome, because unicorns, are always awesome. But you can of course use this creative, team player, etc. But what I really love about custom praise badges is that you can create your own. So if you are a Teams admin, so you can access the Teams admin center, you can go and create your own custom praise badges. And usually organizations have some kind of awards for employees. Maybe you have some inside jokes you can utilize, and you can create badges for those. For example, champions badge, excellent job badge, or something like that. Here I have done this team spirit badge, and I think I will give it to Nora, my colleague, and I will say excellent job with the demo. And then I will also have a heart in here. Cool. And it does a praise badge, and it will send it to the conversation. And here it is available for anyone who is here in the team. And I think this is super simple, super easy way to share the good feeling and share the success we have done in our projects, in our team, in anything we do basically. So you can go and check it out. You can utilize those ready-made badges, or then you can also create your own custom badges in the Teams admin center. Okay. What if just a badge isn't enough? because basically this is just a message in Teams channel. I don't get the badge in my profile or anything. It's just a normal message. But what if I could, for example, send gift cards to my colleagues? There's an application for that as well. And now, before I go into any further, I must sadly say that it only works in the USA. I have no idea why any company in Europe hasn't really done this already. But you can actually, if you are in the USA, use this Starbucks application where you can chat with the Starbucks or have it here in your discussion, and you can send coffee cards, so gift cards for Starbucks for your employees. I know the picture isn't that great at the moment, but basically it reminds me of the praise badge. But also, in addition to the praise, it will give you like, hey, here's $5, go and have your triple frappuccino, mocha, something extra. And I think this is only the beginning of how you can utilize Teams with third-party applications as well, where you can, for example, order food from your remote meetings or remote parties, or something small, something small gestures that goes a long way. Okay, I think we had like maybe 14 different demos, which most of you can start testing out already today. And let's go to check our final slides of the presentation. In here. After all this demo bonanza thing, I just want to say that you have all the technology. We have all the super cool feature and themes, and all different features are coming more and more every day, or every week at least. So it's not about the tech, but it's about how you utilize it to improve your employee experience. So how can you utilize praise in Teams? How do you utilize channel meetings, employee ideas, icebreakers, Vivo connections, Vivo Insights to really create the sense of feeling and belongingness in your team, in your organization? And I'm super, super happy about the Microsoft Viva solutions, because that really really brings the employee experience in the center of it all, instead of those formal code technicalities. Awesome. We are in the end of my time and at the end of my session. So thank you for everyone watching and commenting. Let's see. Yeah, thanks Al for bringing those links into the chat. If you have any other questions, comments, I will hang around in here. I will also share the presentation and share the links with you in the chat as well. Thank you, and I hope you have an awesome day.